Okay. So, if you've been here long enough to have been a part of the conversation of lessons I would give to Kiana and Naomi. The reason that I made that it was kind of a series of videos and I'll put those in a playlist so that you can kind of understand exactly what I'm talking about. But I saw myself in Kiana Naomi the first time I came across her. I feel like when I started making content and I knew I didn't want to do like beauty content, anything like that. I wanted to do something that was more like parallel to my real life. But in order to do that, I had to like make a life for myself. So there's steps to it. I feel like I'm at a place now where I've definitely created the steps in my life. I know, generally like what's going on. I'm not confused, right? It's more about how do I get to the next level, and I'm actually very interested in using like content creation to get there. Anyway, so I make this video that was like, oh, notes to Kiana Naomi, things I would tell my younger self. The reason specifically that I made that video and I added her and I used her directly is because sometimes it seems like you know so much about yourself and your family and your community and your racial group and your gender and your location, and you think that everybody in the world sees you the way that you see yourself and the way that your family sees you. And the older that you get and the more that you travel, you will realize that nobody actually sees you in the way that you see you or that your parents see you. They see you in the way that you present yourself or the way that other people have presented you. And that specifically applies for Black women because we have an overrepresentation of like hypersexualized, hyper urban, hyper ghetto, hyper poor, under undereducated, impoverished caricatures of Black women. So we don't have many examples of just like normal girls in the world who are like out, who are just having very normal experiences. Like that isn't a thing. There's like a few of us who are out, but it isn't the predominant narrative. And so when I started to like get into Kiana Naomi's story, one of the biggest things that came out for me was this idea that like first of all, she was in art school. I thought that was very interesting. Like there's just not that many Black girls who are in art school in general, right? So that stood out and I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got the art school experience too. But then also, she wasn't even in like an art school in Atlanta, which I feel like we could finally have that conversation now that we have like Thick on the map, like FD Signifier, who's actually in Atlanta and who's been sharing a lot of content around other Black creators. It's more like we can uh in Kiana's case, she was going to an art school. I think she was at UCLA, right, in Los Angeles. And her program was primarily white. And she was basically saying that there were all of these opportunities that she wanted to participate in, but was kind of unable to participate in. And it was really due to her race. Like people kept tokenizing her as the Black girl. And here's the thing, like, we actually need to standardize the Black female experience. And I feel like this is really happening with like TikTok and social media, Habisha Talk, Naija Talk, with like Arya Star, with Tyla, right? They're like standardizing this like Black girl experience that hasn't really been seen before and making like content and themes around it where other groups who are not members of the community are just observing it and soaking it in. And because it was created by like a Black girl, now they have to see and assimilate those images as well. So it like broadens the perspective of like, not only do we not now only have like Sexy Red, we have like Sexy Red, and we have Tyla, and we have Iris Star, and we have Beyonce, and we have Rihanna, and we have Kiana Naomi, and we have Olivia. So now this the pool of people and stories is very broad. Now, so let's go back to this new girl who I want to introduce because I feel like she is my current Kiana Naomi. Her name is Hawi Duma. And Hawi I came across when I was in London. So something weird about my algorithm that may be a little bit different from like your algorithm. Like if I hit a new city and I like post there, Usually, like, I think there's people are using, or Gen Z, I'll say specifically, is using like the For You page and the home page on Instagram a little bit differently than other people are. Because for some reason, like, if you hit their city and you start posting in their city, they will know who you are, or that at least they'll be able to see you. I mean, if you're like, I think like moderately attractive or interesting, like you will pop up on their feed. So this has happened to me many times. It happened in Germany and it happened in London. And that's how I came across this girl. So I guess this girl's like a Habesha model in London, but I think she's originally from like a small town in Addis. Now, she followed me and I was like, "Oh, she looks so interesting. I'm gonna follow her back." So I've been following her since then. It's been like a year and a half. And more recently, she started posting some interesting things that were like, oh, like she posted a video where she was on like a moped. She posted a video where she was at like some shoot or something. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's so inspiring because I want her, like, the thing that I've done with my profiles, I make Finstagram accounts, and so people who are in my area, people who I'm in community with are a part of Finstagram. And so they're able to see what I'm doing on a daily basis, but I don't share that with the macro community, specifically like my family members who I live away from permanently and who I do not care to be in community with. And then also people from my past, like a lot of those people, I block them in so many ways because I don't want them to have like access to my life. I want to grow away from them. This is why if you saw my other video or my post where it was like live and let live, I think that was like a Substack article that I wrote, but I will link that in the description box here. Like people who I don't like, I don't wish death upon them, but I also don't really wish life into them. I want them to grow and fail because I'm going to grow and win. I don't want to be in community with them though. Like I I don't want to share a resource with them, not a country, not a language, not a food source, not a water source, not a healthcare system, nothing. Like everything I build, I want it to be completely away from them. Like I don't want any of the capital that comes from utilities that I build to improve their family life in any way. Like I don't want there to be any, I want our lives to be parallel and never intersecting, like polar opposite. Like if there's an equator, we're on two different sides of the equator and we will never cross paths. If I don't like you, that's how I feel about you. So if you didn't know, there's how it is. Like I'm not the person who like has disdain for someone else and then actively goes out and tries to tear their shit down. Like I'm not going to do that. If I don't like you, you won't hear from me. You won't see me. If you won't know anything that I build or do, hopefully there will be no information coming from me to you or from my life to yours because nothing about our lives overlap. That is the future that I seek to build, which is why so often people who I don't like and who don't like me, they will typically start to post things that are very positive. They'll have these positive experiences, they're posting about their lives and their friends. And I think they have some assumption that like my life and my friends are not also doing well because it's not intertwined with them. You see, they have this like very small worldview where it's like good is on the left and bad is on the right or something, right? And so all of the good people are on the left and all of the good people on the right. It's kind of the same sort of situation with the conversation around attractiveness where people seem to think there's like one definition of like attractive people. All of the attractive people are brown, all the unattractive people are white or something like that. People say shit like that and it's like that's not even remote. Have you gone outside? Anyway, so let's go back to this girl Hedua. So the interesting thing about her, I can definitely tell, I can see the inspiration, but what I did the other day is I wrote a little note and I just want to share it here. It was kind of like I see what she's doing and I want to give her a pro tip because there's some cool things that actually she's doing that I see, and I hope that she starts to take note of like the way that I see her experiences in relation to how she sees my experiences. Here's the thing. I love London as a city and she's in London. Not only is she in London, she's in Fashion Week. Like she's posted 3 different shows that she walked, which I thought was really cool. And so my note to her and my note to you virtually is this. If you're looking for content to produce next year, you have to think about what you're doing this year. The really cool thing about having a Finstagram account is like you're doing all these things in a buffer. So there's like people who you're like in the trenches with who are like going through the shit that you're going through with you. Sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's actually really cush. Either way, the general public has no idea what you're talking about because you have this Finsta space that's just you and like your homies, right? And so then now you do all of this stuff. And here's the thing I did that was really cool. You make like a side, you could do it like a YouTube channel, you could do it like a podcast, whatever, but make it private and make it something that you do every single day so it becomes really clear. You could also do this like a journal. But the problem is most people don't actually journal every day. The point is like keep it consistent. So if it's going to be every day, every week, however, whatever the frequency is that you're doing it, like do that consistently and then like post it somewhere, but don't post it to the general public. So do this for a year. So then you have like literally 365 days worth of shit that has happened every day. Now, after a year has gone by, on January 1st of that new year, or you could do 6 months, a shorter period of time, go back and reflect and tell the story of what happened a year ago, but tell it from the like growth version of because you're doing it as future you, right? So it's like you're talking about something that happened a year ago, and you have this like you can take a picture. It could be a blog post, an Instagram post, whatever, and like look at what you said on that day and then explain to the general public, some like a public facing thing, exactly what happened. That is your content for next year. In order though to make, and the reason that that works is because you're pulling from your, like you are the prototype, you are the content, like you are the product. I'm going to expand on that more, this you as the you are the product mind frame, because a lot of people don't actually understand that. Yeah, we're going to come back to that, but that's kind of my advice for hallway, is that her name? Whatever. She's very cute. I hope she does well.